Hello and welcome to Sporties, where we look at life through the lens of sport. My name is Georgie Trickett.
And I am Libby Trickett. And we're back.
Do you remember how to podcast? I'm not sure I do.
Nope. No idea.
A glorious break off the mics. Well, you spent the first half of holidays in Melbourne.
Georgie, you can say it. I've been surviving school holidays.
In some sort of hellscape.
You have been thriving in your school holidays.
It's just that my kids are just that little bit older. And so all of a sudden, all these things have opened up that we've wanted to do for ages, and we've finally bit the bullet. And we went to San Diego to see one of my brothers who lives there. And then we did a road trip from San Diego. We went to Grand Canyon. We went to Arches National Park. We went to Moab and stayed in this amazing valley. And then we ended up in one of my favorite places in the world, which is Steamboat Springs, where I actually worked when I was at university as I was in ski rentals over there.
Wasn't that where you met Ben, your husband?
And that's where I met my husband, who is also from Australia, because that's how we meet people. So we got to go back and show our kids what Steamboat is like in the winter, and spent an amazing time there connecting with family and friends and just reminiscing and skiing on runs that are so long. Like, you forget how long runs go for in the Northern Hemisphere as compared to Australia. Like, don't get me wrong, skiing in Australia is great, but it's not like skiing in America or in Canada. Like, it's a completely different experience. And we had an absolute ball. It was so, so good. I'm so refreshed and ready to go into 2026.
That's awesome. Like, to see all your photos, it just looked like you had the most amazing family adventure, which was so cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. But you also got to do things in and around our beautiful city.
I got to do things, yes.
You got to do some things.
I did things like, go on the City Cat.
Mate, that's exciting. It's a Bluey City Cat.
The train at South Bank.
Yes.
Loved it. Incredible. Yes. Like, the views, Georgie, the views and the water lizards that you see, the water dragons.
We are an Olympic city in development. You should, whenever someone asked me where I was from overseas, I'd be like, oh, I'm from Brisbane in Australia. And they'd look at me quizzically, and I was like, 2 points of reference. We will be hosting the 2032 Olympic Games. And boom. People were like, oh, really? And I was like, and this really landed with a certain age group if I was sitting on a chairlift.
Expo 88?
No. I would say they'd be like, these little 7-year-old kids would be like, where are you from? And I'd be like, do you watch Bluey? And they'd say, yes. And I'm like, I'm from where Bluey's made. I'm from Bluey's hometown. And that was like mic drop moments where people would stop talking and look at me as if to say, oh my God, you know Bluey.
That is actually very cool.
We actually live in the same town, guys. Like, they just up the road. We catch the same city cats. Like, it's a whole thing. Never have I had so much credibility with the under 10s ever.
I hadn't even thought of that. That's amazing.
It just translates. It's very hard to explain to Americans where you're from if you're not from Sydney. And then you say, I'm from where Bluey's from. Boom.
Crosses borders.
We've just all of a sudden we're talking. We're talking about our favourite episodes. We're talking about our favourite characters. We're connected. We've bonded. So thank you, Bluey, for being probably one of the best tourism.
Not just that, but for all of it.
Actually, thank you for putting Brisbane on the map and giving people a geographic reference. That's been hugely helpful.
That's so funny.
Elizabeth, I've missed all the tennis.
Oh, it's been so good, Georgie. So good.
I feel like I'm hearing a few little drama-ramas, and sometimes this happens when something gets big and it gets cool, and all of a sudden it's not just the tennis. There's some other things coming up. One of them was the fact that qualifying week was pitched as opening week, and they had their biggest numbers ever for opening week.
Wow.
And a lot of people were like, hang on, didn't I buy a ticket for the first week of the tennis? And they're like, yeah, you did. It's qualifying. The first week of the tennis is now qualifying, and they broke records with the number of people that came through the gates, but apparently not everyone realised that's what they were watching.
Ow. That's not
slightly
ideal.
Awkward. But then an article came out today. It's from Marnie Vinnell, who's one of the sports reporters for the ABC. I absolutely love the stuff that she does. And she wrote an article about what's happening with the influencers at the Australian Open. Because if you are not aware, the Australian Open has become very cool. to attend, and it's really being attended quite well by the influencers. And she writes, there's also a slew of influencers who descend on the tournament and post relentlessly across social media. Many get invited to premiere experiences and seating by brands in exchange for content to their followers, which can range from a few thousand to millions. They have helped Tylee, that's the tournament director, and co make the event not just the place to be during January, but the place to be seen at all. Many long-term tennis fans say this is changing the look, feel, and experience of going to the Australian Open, with comparisons drawn to the fashion-focused Spring Racing Carnival and changing culture of the Australian Grand Prix. With this, some frustration has been levelled at influencers and content creators by the general public, many of whom have been going to the tournament for years, with the inundation coinciding with thousands being forced to wait in the queues for hours for matches while they get increased access. Libby, are influencers the reason that there are such big queues at the Australian Open?
It has been interesting. Once you sent me that article, I've been reflecting on what I have been seeing on social media other than the, impending doom of world order. But the way that I have been receiving the Australian Open, it has been everywhere, like absolutely everywhere. And it has been, I feel like, much more of a skew towards cool people. And like, I am not a cool person at all by any stretch of the imagination. People could
I shouldn't have nodded so keenly, but I was nodding for myself.
Absolutely correct.
I'm like, we are not cool. Like,
no, we're not cool.
Flags going around.
I could also be categorized as an influencer, which I hate.
This is why I ask you this question, because technically, I'm sorry, you are an influencer.
I know, and I say that with a massive cringe on my face.
Okay.
But I am also someone who deeply, deeply loves tennis. Like outside of swimming and cycling now and F1 now, tennis has always been my jam.
It's definitely in your top four.
It's my top four. Like, I know people, you are one of these people. You have the cricket on day and night during December, right? I have never understood that. Don't get it. It doesn't spark memories for me. Whereas the tennis, that is something that sparks a memory for me. Like, I have it on day and night during January. That's the symbol of summer for me. The sounds of a tennis game in the background is something that I deeply enjoy. And it's been really nice because I've been forcing it onto my children, and they're kind of responding a little bit now, which has been lovely.
You just have to keep trying.
You just got to keep hounding them. You're like, this is just what's on. I'm sorry.
Netflix has stopped working. There's nothing I can do.
Right, exactly. But it has been really interesting because they're so much cooler. They're so fancy. I remember, like, I was lucky enough to go to a couple of grand finals at the Australian Open, which has been magic because it's always around my birthday. So I, thoroughly enjoy it. And I remember, I know I dressed up to go, but this is like another level of that. But I just wonder if that is a symptom of the society that we are in now. It's what we are all bathing in, is that we all have to look a certain way and be a certain way and go to certain functions. Even kids' birthday parties need to look a certain way so they can be Instagrammable. And it's, I don't know, I kind of feel like it's less about the substance now. It's more just about the surface level aesthetics of it. And that's really hard for me as a former athlete, because the athleticism of what these athletes are doing and the showmanship that they are putting on is always exceptional. It's always so much fun to watch and engage in. But then you see people who are not actually appreciating it. They're just doing it to be seen at the cool event.
And I think I agree with most of it. And I also think about it from the perspective of who gets to decide how you enjoy a sport. So how you connect with a sport, how you relate to a sport. For so long, it's always been the case that you had to deeply understand it to actually call yourself a fan. And there was this gatekeeping of sport, particularly of women.
We hate
now,
that, right? Like we actively
it's the worst.
Yeah, it's the worst.
So now women have a different way to access sport. They have a different way to get themselves into these events. And I always think about the way that I first got to go to AFL, certainly not invited by corporate brands, but like a friend would say, hey, we've got tickets to the AFL. Do you want to go? I don't know AFL. As you will see in weeks to come, I definitely don't know how to play AFL. And so I probably, when I first attended, was just sitting there chatting away, right? Like I'm just absorbing the atmosphere. But then the more you go, the more you understand the story, the more you understand how the game works, and the more you connect. And now when I go to the AFL, I'm like, don't talk to me. I'm watching the game. So there's been an evolution. And I guess my question and the challenge with this is that we have a whole lot of people who would have otherwise not accessed tennis, and this is their gateway. And is society just being a little bit judgmental of them because it looks different?
And people can just be jealous, right? I'm totally jealous. Like I want to be down there. Who
doesn't want to go to the tennis in January?
Oh my God, are you kidding? Like invite me, please. I'll be your influencer. No one's invited me, but that's okay.
Okay, she's not offended, right? Like whatever.
I'm not deeply offended. I'm mildly offended, but that's okay. You're exactly right. And I do like that more people are being exposed to sport. And I think that is a really crucial thing. I think in the article that Marnie wrote, she was talking about some influencers turning up, taking photos and then leaving, and therefore leaving spare seats. You know, the amount of people who would fill those seats
kill for that,
right?
Yeah. So that's a bad look.
It's a bad look for tennis, but it's also just kind of a shitty thing to do. So I hope that all of those people who are getting to go and who haven't been previously really go and soak up the atmosphere, enjoy the fun, the sportsmanship, just the incredible performances by so many of the athletes, and particularly,
so good.
You know, the Australians, Demonor, Inglis, like there's been so much excitement. But yeah, it's just, we shouldn't be gatekeeping. We shouldn't be judging people for how they get access to sport. We should be celebrating anyone who is being exposed to more sport, for sure.
I think as well, like if you think about the Super Bowl, which is coming up in a couple of weeks in the US, that's now a sport where to attend the Super Bowl, you pretty much have to be with a corporate. Like as to be a genuine fan and access those games is so incredibly difficult. I think Tennis Australia, in light of this and in light of people's reaction, it will just be finding that balance between corporate access, which is who's bringing all these influences in.
Tennis Australia aren't doing this. It's all of the corporates who are inviting their people.
It's your corporate access. So you need the corporates to fund the sport to make it available. And it's just finding that balance between where the fans can engage and where you can get your corporate sponsorship dollar doing the hard work for you. When I scanned my Instagram on the weekend and saw that the guy who free soloed El Capitan, Alex Honnold, was free soloing.
For those who don't know what free soloing is, it's rock climbing basically without any gear.
Without a rope. So the guy that
no safety rope, nothing,
no net, no parachute. Ridiculous.
Parachute? What are you talking about? As if.
The guy who'd done free solo of one of the hardest climbs in the world had decided and worked with Netflix to live climb, free solo, whatever you want to call it, one of the biggest skyscrapers in the world in Taipei. And I thought, why? And also I thought,
WTF.
I need to watch this.
Did you watch it live?
So no, in the end we didn't watch it live. We were going to watch it live on Saturday, but then they experienced really bad weather in Taipei and they called it off. And, you know, there was like earthquakes that they were monitoring and wind and, you know, so many different issues. And then they rescheduled it for Sunday. So by the time we watched it, it had already happened.
And you knew nothing bad happened.
And I knew nothing bad happened because I was watching it with the kids. I did know that there was a 10-second delay in the broadcast so that if anything did actually happen,
they could cut. Oh, that's good.
They could cut it.
Great.
Because no one needs to see a guy dying. That's not great family TV. It's this really bizarre situation where if he makes it, what an incredible family viewing experience. If he falls off, what the hell are you doing watching this with your children?
Totally. 100%. Couldn't agree more.
What was particularly interesting, Lib, was the reaction we got to some of the posts we put up on Instagram. So we were sharing what was coming up, and then as it was happening and as it had happened, some of the things that were appearing on social media. And there was definitely a response about what a selfish asshole this guy was. To do this sort of climb when he has a family, he has a wife, he has 2 kids. I should note that his wife is very supportive of what he does, but there was this deep reaction that people had to him making this choice. And a part of me was like, this is so interesting because this has no bearing on you, you know, internet. Like what he chooses to do is what he chooses to do. Why is that response so significant to a guy who decides to climb a skyscraper? Well, don't get me wrong, it's bonkers, but he decides to climb a skyscraper and he's the best in the business. Why does everyone react that way?
Why do you think people have reacted that way? Like, what's your thinking behind that reaction?
For some reason, people personalize it. Whereas I look at it and think, this is someone's incredible athleticism. He obviously has a brain that works so differently to you and I. Like, we know that his brain has been scanned and his amygdala doesn't react to risk the same way yours or mine will. Apparently that's not structural. Apparently that's conditioning. He's just incredibly well trained to not respond with like a huge adrenaline response when a threat occurs. So part of me is like, he is who he is and he's going to do this stuff. I don't know why people react that way unless they've felt like they've been threatened. Yes, I don't know. It's a really interesting human response.
I looked at that. I haven't watched it. I kind of wanted to make sure that he was okay. But I've seen the Free Solo documentary, which was extraordinary and remarkable, and everyone should watch that. And I can't wait for this documentary to come out about this experience as well. It'll be amazing. I think for me, what I just draws me in is that concept, and you touched on it, his just unbelievable athleticism. The fact that this guy has just, like, he's worked almost every day of his life towards these goals and achievement. I guess in his position, you maybe can't say that you're the best in the world, but surely he's got to be one of the best in the world at that specific sport. And I love that. I love that sense of mastery. Like I deeply connect to that. And I just think it's so cool. And, you know, people would, you know, they were saying how selfish it is with his family. And I think that's not allowing the woman, his partner, his wife, any autonomy in this relationship. Like she has a say. She gets to say yes or no. And, you know, assuming that they have a equal relationship, like she's part of that journey. Like she's part of that achievement. She's one of the reasons that he is able to go and do that is because of her and his kids as well, you know, because it does require a whole family and a whole team to kind of get you to that goal. I think the only question mark for me is the parent in me that goes, oh, shit, how many kids are going to go and try and emulate that without the experience, without the training, without the, you know, all of the precautions? Because this guy, this is what he does. Like, this is his job and this is what he works on every single day. And there are unfortunately people who would go out there and just try something stupid because they saw someone do it on Netflix. That's my only concern. But other than that, I just thought it was absolutely exceptional.
Yeah, he is a true athlete. She's a part of it. I don't know how you stop someone like him going and completing these feats. And I think to not allow him or to not support him in doing that would almost be as crushing to an individual like that as
But also,
as it
you
would
don't
be
know
to
what
fall off a
she's
building.
into. Like, she might be into all of that stuff too. Like, she might be frothing on it and thinking it's awesome. So, like,
I mean, I don't think she was based on her reaction, and even like the climbing expert they had on the desk was like, I'm really struggling to watch this, because I think the other amazing thing is so often a free soloing attempt is not filmed and watched in real time. So it might be filmed, but it's not necessarily received and watched in real time. And you're not having to also filter out a crowd in your process of moving up a building.
And the only other thing I would add to that is like, he must be so confident in his abilities, because he seems like other than wanting to climb crazy things, he seems like a decent human being, a chill dude, like who obviously has a passion for what he does. But he doesn't seem like someone who wants to die on camera in front of thousands of people.
No,
like,
and so they made that point
to believe in himself, to think that he will be able to do that without causing trauma to millions of people.
Someone said as part of the commentary, or maybe it was something I read, that this is not a person who has a death wish. This is not a person who wants to push themselves to a limit and accepts that they will die. That is not what this is about. Because as he climbs, his nervous system is actually at the most low regulated point you could imagine. He doesn't get an adrenaline hit. In fact, if he was climbing for an hour and a half with a huge rush of adrenaline, that would be so dangerous and the biggest risk to him. What actually happens when he completes these ascents is that his heart rate and his mental state is so in flow that in his head there is no risk. He's managed the risk.
But that's his element as well.
Oh, totally.
He looked like he was having fun. Like,
yeah,
he looked joyful, and that is so cool. Like, and I think that's the epitome, and that's peak mastery, in my opinion. When you're in flow, you're feeling the moment, you are experiencing joy. I just think that is the best thing.
And also, like, I would just want my children to find that element of flow in a sport that involves ropes. Or, safety
just as on the
precautions.
ground. That would be just fine.
Land
or pool, but preferably on
Aqua.
land.
Lisbeth, I've got something to show you.
Georgina, please. Show and tell.
At the time that this is released, we're maybe 7 days away from the Winter Olympics. And Lisbeth, we've been sent a treat.
Have we?
We have been sent a little something.
From a little something.
Milano Cortina.
Yes, thank you. How cool.
How cool is that postcard? And this is what came with the postcard. Look at this.
Oh.
Mini pastas.
Oh, that's pasta in an Olympic ring shapes. That's amazing.
This is Olympic pasta. I will be cooking this for you shortly.
Yes.
We will be dining on Olympic pasta during the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics.
I love that. That is so cool.
How cute are these? How cool is this? This is from the International Olympic Committee, Libby.
Shut the front door. That is so cool.
This is as close to an Olympic ring as I'll ever get.
And as I'll ever get again.
I've never been so excited to get Barilla pasta in my life.
There's 53 athletes going for Australia this year. It's so exciting.
And the chef de mission, Alyssa Camplin, has described this as like a once-in-a-generation team, and she is spot on. One of the best things that happened to my algorithm when I was in the Northern Hemisphere was that Instagram decided that I like snow, which I do, and all of a sudden I was just getting
skiing.
Have I mentioned that?
Did you?
I went skiing. I can also snowboard, but I didn't this time. I just skied this time. And so, Lisbeth, being our snow correspondent, I can tell you that I received a lot of Instagram that related to snow. And
people shredding the nut.
Daily, it was another Australian getting a medal at a World Cup event. And the World Cup events are like weekly sort of Grand Prix events in the lead up to like key championships, the key one this year being the Olympic Games. And we have dominated and we have peaked at just the right moment before the Olympic Games. Jakara Anthony has been incredible in the moguls. We've also had a little shredder in the half pipe on skis. I can't even imagine doing tricks on skis in a half pipe. Indra Brown, she's 15 years old.
Wow.
She's just been selected in the team. This team is absolutely rocking. And the person who has just really cemented his sort of entry point into the Olympic Games would have to be Scotty James.
Yeah, Scotty James. Well, I mean, he's been around forever.
That's the part that sort of blows my mind. I forget how long we've known Scotty James. We've known him through the public domain.
Through the media.
I mean, we're basically like this.
Basically. It's like 2 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
I follow his sister who's married to Sam Mack on the Channel 7 weather. Yeah, I've met Sam a few times. So, like, we're basically besties.
Boom. There you go. Also, you're an Olympian. He's an Olympian. Hello.
Connections. Yeah, exactly.
Did he get sent these Olympic rings, though? I'm not sure.
Probably not. This is only his 4th Olympic Games.
He is amazing. He is utterly amazing. So the reason we're talking about Scotty James is that in the lead up to the Winter Olympics, one would assume, he has just released a documentary on Netflix. And you have watched it and I have watched it. And when
I've been
watched
dying to get your thoughts on it. I know you were like dying to hear my thoughts, but after I watched it, because you told me to, I
set you homework.
Yeah, you
set how we work.
Set me homework, and I completed. I didn't respond how I expected to respond, so I'd love to hear yours first.
Oh, okay, interesting. To give you context of the documentary, it goes through Scotty's life and his journey into snowboarding. It sets a really beautiful scene about how much of a family person he is and how connected his family is to him. And you learn throughout the documentary how close he has kept his family. They're all involved in some way in his businesses. His brothers are constantly with him. One is his videographer and photographer and is responsible for capturing so much of the footage you see of Scotty James.
And the other one helped him like qualify for his first Olympics.
Yeah, and that was really beautiful watching.
Unbelievable.
The story. What I hadn't appreciated and what you learn very quickly is the incredible role that Tora Bright and Ben Bright, Tora's older brother, have played in Scotty's career and how they essentially were his family on the road when he was 13 and left home. I think that was the part I found incredibly hard to watch. And I found it quite distressing. You felt the anguish of his mum in particular and his siblings when he left home at 13 to go and pursue his Olympic dreams.
They all cried, like as current adults.
All crying on, like however many years later.
Like decades later, they're crying about that moment where he had to go away as a child.
They're all traumatized from that experience. It really reminded me of, I guess, hearing Ash Barty talk about a similar experience when she left home to hop on the tour as a 13-year-old or 14-year-old and again how traumatic that was for her. And again, she is from an incredibly tight-knit family. There were so many interesting parallels, but all I could think was, oh my God, thank goodness for Tora and Ben Bright for being this beautiful family unit that came out of like just circumstance that looked after this little kid. And also I was like, what a bloody big responsibility to have a 13-year-old with you that you're having to look after. Like these were definitely not,
adults.
These are not adults, but they're looking after this little kid. I really found that story fascinating. I thought from a documentary perspective, I would have loved to have seen more snowboarding. I felt like it was more of an exploration of him as a person, and I think that's really interesting and it's given me so much great context. But he is such an incredible athlete and it's not like a normal sports documentary where you get like bulk sport action, particularly like a snow sports documentary where you're looking for those, really great pieces with music that like really amplify what they're like as athletes. And I think his athleticism is something that's truly not talked about enough or maybe not known well enough because he is such a tall athlete and a discipline.
So I had no idea how tall he was. Especially when you
so tall
compared to, is it Azumi, the Japanese?
Oh, yes, Azumi, yes.
Like incredibly short.
So because of his height, he has to work that snowboard and work that half pipe a very different way. He has to be so incredibly technical because his height shows his flaws so much more. He has to be better than the best in order to win. And I think that's really interesting about him.
I guess from someone who doesn't snowboard, hasn't skied, like doesn't have that background in maybe watching those sorts of documentaries, like the amount of snowboarding was fine for me.
Yeah, you're like, great.
And that is cool. Cool, you did a deadly 360 in Switch. Yeah. Incredible. Well done.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I can certainly appreciate his athleticism. Like, that is absolutely obvious from the footage that was shown, and I guess the parts of the training that was really interesting to me to particularly do this one specific move that he was trying to do in competition. I think one of the reasons maybe Scotty James isn't as well known, I mean, he's very well known, don't get me wrong, but like, he's not
a household name. I would
not as much of a household name yet, because he was also in the era of Shaun White, who you know, is this iconic American snowboarder who's won everything.
The Flying Red Tomato.
The Flying Red Tomato, like, for those of you who don't know, like flaming
massive
red hair,
shock of red hair.
And just, you know, so incredibly dominant for so long. And Scotty hasn't yet won an Olympic gold medal.
It's the only bloody thing he hasn't won. I mean, he's just taken... He's now level with Shaun White at X Games gold. And X Games, for those who don't know, is like the premier extreme sports fixture. That doesn't sell it enough, but that's where it sits. It's like the top level outside of the Olympics, I would say. Yeah, which I kind of probably didn't fully appreciate. And so I guess seeing this doco really did sort of highlight that. I'll tell you what rubbed me. Spit it out. There's probably 2 or 3 things. So the first thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, and this is, let me be very clear, I recognize that this is extraordinarily judgmental of me. He is married to Chloe Stroll. Yeah. Who, for those who don't know, Lawrence Stroll owns the Aston Martin F1 team. His son is Lance Stroll. Her brother is Lance Stroll, basically. This family is extraordinarily wealthy, billionaires wealthy. And it was like within the first minute of the documentary, it was like, oh, by the way, I'm married to this very wealthy woman. And it was like them in a fancy helicopter. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That feels like maybe, I don't know, the family paid for the documentary. Oh. And I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's the case at all. This is me being judgmental. So please forgive me for my immediate judgmental reaction. So once you kind of got through that, and to be totally clear, she seems delightful. I really liked her. I watched it and I was like, I love you. You're awesome. For sure. 100%. She seems like a beautiful human. Without a doubt. Please don't get me wrong with that. My initial reaction was like, oh, that's weird. Why are we showing fancy lifestyle? That's weird. I think it's his discomfort with it. It's such a contrast to where he grew up. Maybe, but I just felt it just felt off in the first few minutes of the documentary. But what I appreciated it, which I didn't fully understand, exactly what you said, him leaving home at 13, that goes against every fiber of my being in terms of what I know to be true in terms of high performance and trying to get to that highest level. That literally goes against everything in my all of my I was like, as I watched, I was like, what will Libby say about this? Because I think what's really interesting and what you see is that it doesn't produce the results you would expect. This is what's so interesting is that, and he talked about being a child prodigy, and I'm like, yes, you were against 13-year-olds. You were winning everything as a 13-year-old, but then as soon as you go and compete against the men, you were losing, and then that kind of made you sad. It was a really interesting thing for me because maybe he wouldn't go to 4 Olympics, but maybe his trajectory would have been different, but maybe it wouldn't. We don't know. We don't know. This is all, you can make whatever assumptions up about that. He could have given up 2 Olympics ago. He could have given up at any point. And what I have immense respect for is the fact that he's kept going. So he obviously had a pure, natural, innate talent, which he kind of was able to, capitalize on for a number of years in his career. Then he realized that wasn't enough. Yeah.
because he was competing against like a Shaun White and all of these other guys who may or may not have been training harder, but he knew that if he wanted to beat them, he had to do more than what he was doing. And he's continued to do that. And I just have such immense respect for that, especially, this is, the judgment coming again. He doesn't have to. Like, he could go and do whatever he wants to do. Like, his family is worth millions and billions of dollars. Like, he could go and buy a business, and he's even bought part of the X Games.
X Games. I found that really interesting.
Yeah, I found that really interesting too. And, he could go and just do that for life now. But there's clearly something in him that's driving him towards this goal. And like, as an Australian, as someone who has done that myself, like I hope that he is able to execute that run that lands him that gold medal. Like, that would just be the most wonderful outcome for this entire story. But yeah, it was a really interesting watch for me because I was like, oh, don't love that. Oh,
there's definitely points of discomfort when you're watching. Yeah. I think it's an interesting documentary for that reason. They've left the things that people might find unpalatable or uncomfortable in there. Like, this is his actual story. And he's obviously had a control of the narrative. Like, he's the executive producers, as are his two brothers. So there's definitely their hand in how it's been produced.
Can I say, though, his family... Like, I mean, I genuinely think that him leaving at 13 was a point of trauma, and maybe they shouldn't have done that. That's just, benefit of hindsight perhaps, but, maybe not. And he met Tora Bright and Ben Bright, and they've become a very important part of his life. But what I loved, they seem like the most wholesome, down to earth, like connected. Like, if I can raise my children to be as connected as that family is, again, from the outside and, all family dynamics
from what we can see,
difficult and challenging at times, but like, they seem genuinely in each other's corner. And I just think that is the most important and beautiful thing that I got to see in that documentary.
It is the perfect lead up to this coming Winter Olympics. You can catch it on Netflix. It's like an hour and a half.
Worth it.
But it's worth it. It's a really interesting exploration, and I don't think we know enough about our Winter Olympians.
I totally agree. We need one on Jakara Anthony next.
Oh, I know. She's so good. She's so
cool.
good. She's just been on the cover of Vogue here in Australia wearing ski gear, and it's never looked so amazing. Like, she is on fire. Like, I cannot wait. We will be covering all the Winter Olympics, as we do,
of course,
on our socials and in the podcast over the next couple of weeks. But Libby, we need to wrap this up. We've just been
we've been
for
blabbing
far too long.
Sorry,
People
everyone.
will be like, wrap it, guys, wrap it. We're so excited to be back in your ears, as you can tell. We have lots of exciting things coming up post Winter Olympics and Paralympics. We cannot wait to start sharing that with you.
Make sure you subscribe on the Instagram.
You've got to subscribe on Instagram at Being Sportish. You've got to hit follow on your podcast apps. You can do it, guys. We believe in you. We know you're tech savvy. Just hit that follow. You're going to want to listen because there's some great things coming up.
And Sporties Swim Club, Georgie, I've been slack, you've been away. And by slack, I mean, I've been managing sick children.
You've just got like 11 children or something. Like,
I know,
I've just get them to school.
I've been wanting to go. So that's starting back up on Friday.
I'm excited to announce as well that on the Sportish Swim Club, we have been approached by a group in Toowoomba, which is Western Queensland. It's 2 hours west of Brisbane here. They would like to be their Toowoomba chapter of the Sportish Swim Club. And I said yes. I just said yes. I didn't run it past you. I just agreed.
Everywhere.
So we'll think about how we merch you in order to be part of the Sportish Swim Club, but it's a come one, come all in any state or territory of this great country of ours.
I love that. So cool.
Thank you, Sporties. We'll be back in your ears next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye. We would like to acknowledge and give thanks to the traditional owners of the land we record this podcast on, the Yagara and Turrbal people,
and their continued connection to the land and waterways on which we meet.